privilege giving this opportunity to share some thoughts. What I say will not be an instruction at all. This is I'll just point out a few things, and I'll take from my honorable speaker that we've just heard. I'll pick up some points from there and I guess share some thoughts for you to think, because in my opinion the sort of the political and financial leadership in Pakistan has at best a narrow view. So we have these predisposed and sort of conceptions. We believe that this is the way it is. The first thing is about the health of the economy, and I'll just pick up that point. So yes, we understand that frugal management, fiscal management of the economy is very important. And this whole Fiscal Debt Limitation Act that was passed in 2005 places the requirement that we should not have debt more than 60% of our GDP. In July 1957, Harold Macmillan, who was the Prime Minister of Great Britain, told the British people that you've never had it so good. The debt to GDP ratio was 120%. Even today, when we go to England, and I'm sure all of us have experienced the British system, the great NHS, the underground, the welfare state. It's a dream for most economies. Even China can't come close to that. India can't touch it. Even Singapore, by the way, does not have the ability to build a welfare state like that. And I say this today because the current government came into power with a promise to deliver a welfare state. And yes, social justice, social protection, and intervention to provide greater social, like a bigger social welfare system is clearly the need of the hour, and especially in a country of the size of Pakistan and as poor as Pakistan. We really need to build this. Austerity that is being preached is clearly not the way to achieve this. So that's the first thing. So what I say will be slightly contrarian right now, because I don't want to preach something that is already written in the books that we all read. In fact, austerity is the biggest anti-growth doctrine that you could ever imagine. So yes, we can go back to the Keynesian idea and the European example, the Great Depression, how we came out of it, etc. But nowhere in history do you see that austerity has ever delivered. Now, why has austerity become such a popular mantra? It's actually become a more politically popular mantra than an economically popular mantra. In 2010, and I speak about the British economy because that's where a lot of my time has been spent in terms of understanding the experiences there. In 2010, when Gordon Brown was Prime Minister, the debt to GDP was 70%, and he was told that he has actually mortgaged the British economy. It was absolutely not acceptable. This was 2010, and in 1957, when the welfare system was being set up, and there was borrowing to ensure that all this delivery was, and of course you have the Marshall Plan and all of that, but nevertheless, borrowing and public debt was not a taboo. From this point, another point that I want to raise, that there's a difference between personal indebtedness and public indebtedness. Personal debt is a bad thing, is a problem, but public indebtedness, and especially if it is internal, is one lending to the other internally. That's not as bad a thing as it is being portrayed to be. Having said that, I am not dismissing frugal management, and I'm not dismissing the fact that you need to ensure that you are not in control of your fiscal accounts. But having said that, you cannot and you should not restrict spending. Okay, so you don't restrict spending, then what do? How do you pay back this debt? And I actually will not go to the external debt scenario that much, because you have the whole IMF program and the whole, the mold that we have no choice but to now fall into. But for 1 minute, if we just are to just look at the domestic economy in Pakistan. How do we pay back this debt? It's only via economic growth and increase in income, and austerity clearly is going to deter that. So that's not going to happen. The other thing I want to point out is that we're talking about export, export, and export. My honorable speaker just said, what do we export? Look at our competitiveness. He very, very, very rightly pointed out the complete ineffective, the structure and the form of the probably be all the 15, I'm not sure, 15 or 13 PTAs and FTAs collectively. When we entered into the FTA with China, our deficit was around 1.4 billion, and I think it probably stands at 20 billion today. So that's how badly this FTA has affected us. Export-oriented growth is not the only way to grow. There is a huge domestic market in Pakistan. There are 220 million people who live here who are not even connected. We spoke about dates. Do you get Khairpur dates in Islamabad? You don't. I've really fought for Khairpur, and that's an area that I've really started to develop in some ways, and fought for gas there and so on, so I have experience. Agriculture, he spoke about agriculture. What are you going to export in agriculture? The only way you can actually build your agriculture industry is by value addition and food processing. All of this is domestic. India, where does that growth come from? It's domestic. It's a domestic-led growth. Austerity, if you talk about that, even if it was imposed, it was domestic. They had voluntary restraints. I believe that we are really underestimating the size and the value of our domestic economy. The second thing I want to point out is, so there's a Chinese saying that if you want to be rich, build a road. I hope that does not mean that the contractor who builds it, but without roads, without connectivity, there is no wealth. You cannot grow. There's someone I have always really admired, and I read one of his interviews, and I'll just share that thought with you because it's a thought. Sir Anwar Parvez, and in one of his interviews, he says, "You can never be truly rich if you only think of yourself." It's not possible. Cannot happen. I want to be rich. I want to own my own plane. There's no harm in wealth. There's no harm in being rich. It's a good thing to be rich. But this richness has to be a shared wealth. And that can only happen if you are connected. That brings me to CPEC. CPEC has actually developed missing infrastructure. Now, that's another argument that this government today sort of is always playing and toying with. कि जी आपने मेट्रो बना लिया और रोड बना लिए, लेकिन स्कूलों पे और हस्पतालों पे पैसे खर्च नहीं किए. इसका कोई सही जवाब नहीं है. इसका इसलिए जवाब नहीं है क्योंकि छोटा सा मेरा अपना पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस है. मेरे एक ड्राइवर की एक बेटी रैट पॉइजन एंड अनफॉर्चुनेट इंसिडेंट, कराची में वेंटिलेटर अब्बासी शहीद हॉस्पिटल में एक. बहरहाल उस ज़माने में कुछ लोग मुझे जानते थे, तो वो वेंटिलेटर के लिए मैंने बड़ी कोशिश की. तो उन्होंने कहा जी ये एक वेंटिलेटर है हमारे पास, लेकिन एक आदमी आया है जिसका एक्सीडेंट हुआ है और वो 25 साल की उसकी उम्र है और वो अपने घर का सोल ब्रेड अर्नर है. तो जी अब उसको वेंटिलेटर दें या इस ड्राइवर की बच्ची को दें जो 17 साल की है और यकीनन बहुत कीमती जान है उसकी, लेकिन अब क्या करें. अब जो हुआ वो एक और बात है, लेकिन ये जो मैं आपसे बात शेयर कर रही हूँ ये एक सिंपल सी चीज़ है. वो है पब्लिक पॉलिसी के अंदर कोई भी फैसला सही और गलत नहीं होता. ये एक आपको डिसीजन लेना पड़ता है और प्रायोरिटाइज़ करना पड़ता है. तो रोड ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है या अस्पताल या एजुकेशन, ये तो हुकूमत और प्रायोरिटी और जो आपकी एक प्रीडोमिनेंट सोच है वो लीड करती है. लेकिन ये दोनों चीज़ें ज़रूरी हैं. इनमें से आप किसी भी चीज़ को डिसमिस नहीं कर सकते और ये कहना कि ये ज़रूरी नहीं था और ये बहुत ज़रूरी था और आपने नहीं किया, ये पॉलिटिकल चीज़ें. तो अब अगर रास्ते आपके बन गए और सीपैक ने आपके पास एनर्जी प्रोजेक्ट्स आ गए और सब कुछ हो गया, और व्हाट डू वी डू विद दैट? ट्रेड इज़ की. एंड द अदर थिंग दैट इज़ मिसिंग इन पाकिस्तान, and again I tell you that compete. You have to compete. I mean, we want to beat India, don't we? We want to beat them hollow. Look at what they have done. They identified high impact industry. In Pakistan, unfortunately, we have not been able to identify even one single high impact industry. हुकूमतें टेक्सटाइल पॉलिसी बनती हैं और टेक्सटाइल पॉलिसी पे चली जाती हैं. मतलब जितना मेरा एक्सपीरियंस है इस मुल्क का. और आज मैं टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री से मेरा ताल्लुक़ है, मेरा फैमिली बिजनेस टेक्सटाइल है. हम कॉटन यार्न इंपोर्ट करते हैं. We were the pioneers of organic cotton production in Pakistan. हमने उसको अबैंडन कर दिया. विंदर में हमने 5000 एकड़ ज़मीन पे ऑर्गेनिक कॉटन कल्टिवेट किया था. जिनिंग लगाई थी नूरियाबाद में, वहाँ से लोग किडनैप हो गए. बड़े मसाइल रहे हैं पाकिस्तान में. जो इंडस्ट्री और जो बिज़नेस करना चाहता है ना पाकिस्तान में, उसको रोज़ एक कार्डियक अरेस्ट हो सकता है. रोज़. बहुत बड़ी हिम्मत की बात है. तो ये कह देना कि जी इन्वेस्टमेंट आ जाएगी. और ईज़ ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस की आखिरी में बात कर दूँ. मेरा अपना सब्जेक्ट है. मैं वर्ल्ड बैंक के साथ आज भी इस पे काम कर रही हूँ. एज चेयरमैन सिंध बोर्ड ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट आई really worked. By the way, Karachi constitutes 70% of the ranking of this whole assessment. So the first time last year our ranking improved after 15 years and it went up by 11 points. And that's the only reason. And I can promise you one thing. मैं तो वर्ल्ड बैंक वालों को कहती थी कि ये असली में नहीं होगा शायद, लेकिन perception को तो बदल दें भाई. Perception बदल दें. So ये we have to alter the perception. We have to identify high impact industry, and we have to grow, and we have to go for an aggressive growth policy. Aggressive growth, and not be bothered by the whole paranoia of debt. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to kill you. If you grow, you'll be able to pay back this debt. And where do you grow and what should grow? Identify. The government should identify high impact industry which can actually deliver this return. Legacy is always a bad thing. And I don't say sometimes. It's pretty much always. The reason being that there's always innovation. And what legacy does is that it can retard innovation. So we have to move on. The last point I'll make is about the new economy. आज अगर हमारा पब्लिक डेट, हमारा एक्सटर्नल डेट 90 बिलियन है डॉलर्स, तो ऊबर की वैल्यूएशन जो है वो 90 बिलियन पे हुई है. इतनी सी बात है. एज अ वुमन मैं पढ़ाती भी हूँ IBA में, तो उधर मैं अपने बच्चों को, स्पेशली द वुमेन, आई आस्क देम कि एम्बिशन, जहाज़ कितने का आता है. पता ही नहीं उनको जहाज़ कितने का आता है. एक मेटाफोर है ना. कोई फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता जहाज़ कितना का होता है, या आउडी कितने की आती हो, या घर कितना का आता हो. पता तो हो ना. एस्पायर तो करो ना. ग्रोथ एंड वेल्थ क्रिएशन से ही आपके सिस्टम में एक इक्वालिटी आ सकती है. इसके बगैर नहीं आ सकती. ये कैपिटल सोच ज़रूर हो सकती है, लेकिन आप, यू कांट टर्न बैक द क्लॉक. यू कैन नॉट. आप वापस एक सोशल सिस्टम को उस तरीके से प्रिस्क्राइब नहीं कर सकते जिस तरीके से आज से 40 साल पहले हुआ था. तो आज अगर आप सोशल सिस्टम को प्रिस्क्राइब करते भी हैं, तो उसका पायलट अब एक इन्फॉर्म्ड और टेक्नोलॉजिकली एडवांस्ड है. सो बस मेरी सिर्फ इतनी सी गुजारिश ही होगी सिर्फ कि लेट्स थिंक आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स. On that note, thank you so much for allowing me to share my thoughts. Shukriya.